Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Metal Markets. New time, new name, but the same show. I'm your host, Marcus D. If we're meeting for the first time, welcome. I am somebody who's been trading for 19 years, and I specialize in commodities such as base metals, precious metals, and energies markets. We're going to have an overview of the levels. Before we begin, make sure to familiarize yourself with the risk disclaimer that our lovely moderator Bruno has posted in chat. Anything you see here is for trader table purposes only, so do not blindly follow anything that I do. It is how I trade, but by all means you might find it helpful to find your own journey whilst we are all learning and leveling up our skills as well. Right, I have a couple of hypotheses. I am testing how silver is doing and how volatile it is. I don't think it's as volatile as it was. We did have some implied volatility jump from yesterday on this Asia move upside. So if I show you what Asia did, it was a pretty big move. So Asia is still pretty volatile. Does that carry over into COMEX? We don't know. Obviously we'll find out. But my idea, the first hypothesis, is that we're going to reject the gamma ball and the Asia high, which we already wicked above. And then we're going to have a little bit of a sell-off, at least to VWAP, maybe even down to 74 area, which is the next level where some weak puts are located, but they're not, there's not that much open interest there. So it might as well be that we fall all the way down to 73.50. Now in the monthly options chain, that does represent the gamma flip level 2, as well as average session range for the London lows. Just a statistical projection of the amount of movement that we generally have. Now we've got a bit of time to wait until the London Metal Exchange opens so that we see what copper is going to be doing. But similar stories. So we went and wicked above the Asia high, got a little short here. Looking for the slight rotation through Asia low. How much space we have remains to be seen. We do have some releases, I do believe, today, but whether they're going to be released or not, it's anyone's guess. I'm not sure we're going to get the FOMC minutes today. It's on the calendar, but government shutdown and all that. And then we have some minor releases: core durable goods, building permits, housing starts. In the past, that has been a bit of a mover, but again, it's going to be something for later in the day. But for this time period, I am looking for a bit of a pre-market flush to the downside. So we're going to see how that plays out. As my benchmark, I am using gold. Gold is teasing the initial balance low for the London session. And even though silver and copper right now are not super correlated with gold, the closer we get to COMEX open, that correlation tends to rise, and that's what I'm basing my two decisions on here. Just bear in mind, this is more of a test to see whether we are in some tradable territory. And with that in mind, Topstep has actually relaxed some of the restrictions on certain metals, so I think it's on gold mainly. Natural gas restrictions. Let me just find that post. Natural gas restrictions have been lifted, so we can trade nat gas, natty, as normal. That's a good sign. Main mini gold contract is still not tradable, but micro gold has been lifted from 2, 4, and 6 micros reflecting the 50k, 100k, and 150k eval. So that's been lifted to 5, 10, and 15 contracts in the micro gold respectively. So people should be happy to hear that. And I think gold is still pretty crazy. But again, we'll see. All right, moving on to the average ranges, although at this time we have the reduced volatility. So until the statistical averages kind of find a new mean, I'm not going to be like expecting that we get up to the same ranges that the high volatility has given us. So I would probably just be basing things off the gamma levels and the profile TPOs mostly, rather than trying to eke out some massive range. But you know, they are useful just in case we still get the bump in volatility throughout the day. So maybe we can have a look at the average session range for London. Again, that's very far away. To the upside on copper, we are sitting up at 577.95. And I like to put these markers on for visual reference. Let's keep that yellow actually, but style should be a dotted line. And then to the downside, we are working with 563, just rounding that up. It's a touch lower than that, but this is good enough. Same thing with gold, massive range on the statistical side. So again, not expecting that to be reached. One interesting thing on gold is that I'm seeing the exhaustion of the ranges to the upside right around the 5,000 area, where we have a pretty big call wall. So that's 5,000 in case it starts going into a rally. And both the average daily range high and average session range high are up there. So just an interesting confluence there. Okay, to the downside we have 4888.4. Being super specific because gold is still very volatile. In silver, I have a few interesting levels. I have the 75 call, which says mega call wall, but just looking at the overall positioning, I mean, it's not that mega, it's just like a bigger call wall. However, the gamma wall is sitting at 76, so that's why I'm sitting in this short position. And granted, I was a bit late here, I was messing around with the dogs, and then when this happened, I was like, let's see if they stay, and then they just worked it down and dragged me in, but willing to stay in for another 20 minutes or so. Just going to change copper to the 5-minute chart so that I can anchor the LME VWAP. We have the LME open now. So just anchored the VWAP to the LME open. And now we're going to watch what they do. while we focus on where the COMEX ranges and value areas are. So COMEX value area on copper, let me just click a few things here. COMEX value area at 567.60. That's the TPO value. So at the moment we're sitting in that sweet spot for a mean reversion. This is the COMEX value from yesterday. It's not a developing value. Developing value we can only use for situational awareness, but not really necessarily for open sentiment. Value low sitting at 564.35. And yes, I know this is like boring to some people, but I do this every day because it provides me with a good idea of what they're trying to do. It's part of the routine, right? Silver is the one that ran away the most, I think. Gold also, but if I compare the distance, let's see, that's 0.4% distance on gold from the COMEX value high, and we're sitting at 2.48% on silver, so still quite, still quite wicky. So we'll see whether silver is tradable again. I'm still not 100% sure. And just for visual purpose here, I'm going to go to the COMEX value, taking my fixed range profile, and then dragging it all the way here. Now on the volume profile, we're sitting a bit lower than the TPO profile. So I have the TPO value high at 73,880 on silver, and the volume value, I mean, they're kind of similar, right? It's within a few ticks, but yeah, we're pretty far away. Again, I'm using gold as the benchmark, and gold is still sitting below its own initial balance low. So when they have a bit of a disparity pre-market, eventually they do come into alignment, and then silver catches up with whatever gold is doing. This is why a gold to silver ratio exists for days like this, where you would effectively short one and buy another one. So that would be the GTR spread, gold to silver ratio spread. But since we're intraday traders, we don't want to do that. We want to outperform the market in a single trade. But you can definitely take advantage of the correlation or lack thereof. Right, so far LME is still fighting above Asia high on copper. LME trades base metals, so copper is heavily traded on there, and they usually do a bit of messing around in the first sort of 40 minutes, and then they decide where they're going to go. But I always have this hypothesis, which is a statistical probability, that whenever Asia goes up, you will see some sort of a sell-off, at least pre-market into COMEX. It is one of the setups that I do quite frequently. And one thing that's not ideal here is that copper is sitting above Asia high, so I'm not really that keen on that. But again, willing to give it some time to develop as we start trading with a little bit more volume. And maybe they decide that this is a little too high up, and then they catch up with gold. Gold also has a GEX2 level coming up. We're just showing a little bit of weakness at VWAP, so it remains to be seen whether that drags the other two babies down. So we're just sitting in a trade, not freaking out, observing, watching TPOs, watching tape, and deciding whether this is still the right call. I can tell you one thing, I don't want a long silver or copper here, that's for sure. If I look at the daily chart, you will also notice that copper in particular is coming from like a little bit of a range here, but they are trying to decide what to do. So there's a bit of push-pull. So really I would like to see them tag these low of the ranges and then look for some longs. Alternatively, if we go higher, I really want to see them go above 572, which is the intraday gamma wall on copper. And then to see whether we get some strength there. But at this level, to me, because of the Asia high proximity and the lack of engagement, because you know, it's not like they're pushing it massively above. In fact, they are definitely fighting here. So we'll see how they want to play it. More weakness in gold. If they wake it above VWAP and then they go into a failed auction, I would probably get out and then just have a couple of hours break and come back later, close to the London close. Copper is livening up. You can see the volumes are trying to go above the average here. And that usually has a bit of a knock-on effect in the other two precious metals, which are no longer traded on the LME. They used to be traded. And then in 2022, for some reason, they decided to scrap that. JSim is in the house. Good morning, D, he says. Congrats on the new segment, thank you. I mean, it's the same segment, we just moved it a little bit later in the day because things happen in metals. And then right after I finish the stream, I think about 10-20 minutes after, you're gonna have the opening call, so you don't have to be like alone. So we can hang together for another hour and 10 minutes. Dan says, don't think it's boring to see how a professional trader starts a day. Yeah, it's just like the same thing over and over. You know, I do the gamma walls, I do the average ranges, I do the values, and then I just watch it. Asia high, Asia low. What's happening with the correlation? Right now, silver is trying to start correlating a little bit more with gold. But they're sitting at like factor of barely above 0. Still that gamma wall in copper. So it's a problematic area that we haven't really been able to tackle since yesterday, so we'll see. It's an interesting area for sure. Gold having a bit of a bounce from VWAP here, but still beneath the initial bounce low. Gold volume's trying to go over the average. Silver's not really doing much yet, so silver's asleep. Somebody needs to give it a coffee. Yeah, so Bruno is saying nice intro, missing the song though. Yeah, so I don't have the splash screen yet for like stream starting because I have the old Eurotrade one. I didn't think that was an appropriate splash screen. So maybe I'll ask them to do me a stream starting with the new assets. Forgot to do that for some reason, and then yesterday James pinged over the intro, and I'm like, okay, well, that'll have to do it. And then this morning I was like, how do I start? So yeah, I just decided to loop the intro effectively. But yeah, we'll work it out. It's alright. At least we changed to the new time, and we changed the name. It's definitely a start. Right, looking at this LME VWAP here on copper, let's just focus on that for a second. We're still below it. Remember, the VWAP has a volume component, so this is kind of smushing the moving average and the volume into it. And really, unless we go way above that, unless we reclaim the LME VWAP, I'm just going to stay short. It's a little orientation for base metals in particular, and the only base metal we can trade in Topstep is copper. So for now, I'm just, again, sitting and watching, nothing to do here. I am somebody who's known for being able to sit in trades for quite an extended period of time. J Sim says silver broke out of the big falling wedge on the 1 hour chart last night, wanted it to crack 72 and then 70. Yeah, I mean, look, that could still happen. I don't know whether we have the catalyst for that today, but I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of drops a little bit. Let's have a look at the daily chart on silver while we wait for things to start kicking up. Just gonna block out the intraday levels because they can get a bit messy. I mean, for now, I'm just seeing this as a mini range. Might be a bit more obvious on a 4-hour time frame, because we had this like volume node. Don't have visible range here, but you can see it. It's a pretty thick area, right? And then the lower volume nodes are lower down. Can we make it to 70? I mean, we could. We definitely could. It's just that we have to tackle 75, 74 first, and also 73.50, which is a big level. So we have a number of things that are standing in the way to the 70 area. Just checking the chat. What is my copper target to the downside if it falls? So I already have it set at 65 evens or thereabouts, because it's another one of the strong gamma exposure levels. If it starts to kind of slow down and it doesn't quite drop with intention, and we get close to like the COMEX open, or to be honest, even close to the beginning to the end of this stream. So if we get to 1 p.m. GMT, which is 7 a.m. Central, wherever it is, I will take it off just purely on the account of the early profits based on time, because I use either time-based or price-based profits. And I see the period between like half an hour before COMEX starts. It tends to be a bit kind of jumpy, and I don't necessarily like holding trades through that. So I effectively, whenever I'm doing these sorts of trades, I try to be out by then. So whatever I get, if we get a pretty big drop and I still manage to get like 1.5 hour, I mean, to be honest, even 1 hour, I don't care. I just take whatever the market gives me and then kill it. Right, we're getting some nice movement here. Just gonna check bookmap for a second. I'm trying to be an octopus here, checking chat, checking camera, checking. All right, so we're slight negative delta, still falling. That's a good sign. This is on copper. Let's have a look at silver. Same thing on silver. Silver delta has decided to dip down. It was sitting up at minus 61 at one point, but now we're minus 118. And for now, it is not reacting. Just gonna mute myself while 7 is screaming. Alright, I've just put the noise suppression on my mic because my big watchdog is not big, she's little. She's decided to go into a screaming match because she probably saw a car driving through the farm around the back, and she thinks that we own the entire 2,000 acres of farmland behind. Like, pipe down, 7. It's okay. Alright, yeah, Silver had its coffee and it's moving. I mean, the way it's been moving, I would say it was something stronger than coffee, but hey. If you catch my drift. Right, so I'm still practicing being comfortable, adding into positions here. So, I mean, even as I'm looking at this, I'm still a little uncomfortable. It's getting better this week, so I've spent a little bit of time in this combine just to make my emotional regulation not freak out, because adding into profitable trades has always been uncomfortable to me. But I've realized as the prop industry went towards the micros, I need to start considering micros as a serious tool to limit downside and maximize upside. So I worked on getting a risk model that is more suitable to the current day prop firm, where you don't just get, you know, a ton of cash to play with immediately. You're working at most with 4.5K of drawdown in the beginning. And this becomes even more important with the slight changes that we've seen now for future live accounts. So I just wanted to tighten up a few things, because the way I used to do minis, and we didn't have micros when I started, and that's why I never really considered them as a serious tool. I was like, yeah, whatever, micros. I could see it being valuable, but at the same time, I was still able to do like one mini and you know, still perform well. But as the volatility kicked up across the board in metals, as we started to see some insane moves, I realized that maybe I can just tighten up the variance with some more arm wrestling with micros. And the first 2 days when I started doing this, we still didn't have the restriction. And the risk model that I'm using calls for entering the first core position at 4 micros and then scaling in up to 8. Obviously I can't do that yet because we have a 6 micros limit at the moment. But I'm still adding 2 at the first 2 scale-in points. And I've got to say it is still like the first one is fine. The second one, I would argue that's still fine. It doesn't really mess with the average too much. When the next 2 come in, I am a little twitchy still. I will admit. Dan says, say hello to the doggies. She wants to be on her mom's show. Yeah, she's jealous of Astrid being on group coaching yesterday. But Astrid is the old pro. She's been on Topstep TV many times. We 2 years ago when we first started this Topstep TV venture, we had like funny segments that were just there for pure entertainment. And they decided to send her a new Dolce & Gabbana perfume, dog perfume. I still have it. And then we were joking how she was very spoiled and wants to sleep in silk sheets ever since she is now the big star on Topstep TV. You know, it makes sense. But yeah, she's a very chill dog. But the one that's barking is her sister 7, of course named after 7 of 9 from Star Trek Voyager, because I'm a nerd. And her full name is actually 7 Jerry Bear, SJB, Jerry by the actress that played 709, like an homage, a homage to Star Trek. Okay, so gold is trying to accept initial balance low here. That's really annoying. What's the time? So we just had the silver fix. Silver fix is a time of day when the price fixing is done on silver, and we do tend to see even more volatility and some sharp reversals after this time statistically. Like, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen every single day, right? But this is statistically, that seems to be the time when if they're going to start a reversal, that's when it's going to happen. I'm really not liking this copper here. I'm still in the base position. As you can see, it never kicked off the other two. I'm actually seriously considering killing copper here because that's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a nice a nice acceptance of Asia range and a good rotation at least down to VWAP. And obviously Asia low and then further down to 65. But they are teasing the Asia high for some strange reason. Whenever this is happening, it means that the sweep that we've seen initially failed. So you know what? I'm just going to kill this. And then I do not want to let it go all the way to my stop, right? We want to save some money if we're wrong. And then just sit on the product that actually has a better outlook. For silver, we're still sitting well below the Asia high and below the gamma wall. So it looks weaker than copper when we use the same reference, which is a Tokyo close effectively. And then whatever happens after, that becomes an orientation point. So even though copper might catch up later, there is also a matter of us now tagging the LME anchored VWAP to the upside. Also not what I wanted to see. So this could be a head fake during the LME. If that's the case, we can always re-enter. But if you are wrong and you have these kind of reference points that are always the same, then it's prudent to just kill the trade and carry on. Now silver, I'm willing to give it a benefit of the doubt. It is a bigger trade, so if I get smacked in the face here, it is going to be minus 800. But at the same time, this is more of a test. And remember, it's a combine, and this is the kind of stuff that I want to test out to see whether silver is tradable, whether it's just going to start wagging around like crazy. But I don't want to be long on copper here yet. Like I said, we need to reclaim 72 and then maybe at some point today we can find more longs. But for this time of day, for all intents and purposes, for now, the Asia high sweep has actually failed. So you have to be pretty objective and be okay with just exiting a trade when it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And, you know, I do give it a benefit of the doubt. You know, I stay in it for like 60 minutes, 90 minutes. And then if it's really not playing ball, I'm like, all right, well, I've given it enough time. Let's just move on to the next thing. How are we looking on the London initial balance on silver? So silver is neutral on the initial balance in stark contrast to the gold initial balance, which has only extended to the downside. And I'm also starting to watch the energies now. This is the time when we might see a reversal in energies. So let's just quickly focus on crude oil, which has, by the way, rolled into April, finally. So it's not like I'm itching to trade it today, because I'm not that happy with the rollover. But we do have the ADR high on RBOB. Crude oil is just about to tag its own ADR high around 64.75. So let me just put that marker on here too. $63.75, sorry. Highs. Right, bit jumpy. So somebody's given crude oil some coffee as well. So it's like, hey, it's time to go to work. But we had a bit of a zombie rally, and whenever that happens, I do like to be a contrarian and to short. Not right away, because I still need to see whether this is going to sustain below the ADR high. So I'm not using, notice that I'm not using low time frames here. I do have bookmap on the other screen, and I'm just watching it to see whether we get some commitment to the downside that is sustained. So I'm not really interested in moves that are like, oh, we bounce down, then we bounce back up. Don't care about that. What I do care about is that if we do see a sweep somewhere, that it reclaims a good level and that holds without any meaningful buying wicks in the opposite direction, because I want to short it, right? So I don't want to see it ending with a buying wick. That means it's really not time for the trade yet. And so we wait, yeah. A lot of waiting in this game. But it is definitely at an interesting point. And RBOB, if you look at the daily chart as well, again the weekly as well, we still have this supply on the daily chart. 219 it is, but if you peek into the weekly chart, you will see that we do have a clearly established range. So this whole area is really one massive supply. So going long, I would prefer to be down at the bottom at 212 or 210, because it's a nice round number. But over here, I am really quite short biased, because these products are very short biased, and therefore if they start running to the upside at some point in the day, they do turn around pretty significantly. So just watching for now. There is no cause to enter anything yet, because they're just tagging some interesting levels. I like to reference the 30-minute time frame close for any of my decisions. This looks newsy. What's going on? Let me check financial juice. This is not your usual bounciness for this time of day. I mean, it starts to liven up, but not quite this much. So let me have a peek. Don't see anything. I see something with Russia oil drilling dropped to the lowest in 3 years, but that was like half an hour ago. So why would that matter? Anybody else see anything on the wire? Do let me know. Copper says, hello D, I noticed that I lock out quite early in my trading, still get mostly profitable days. Obviously a small profit is great, but do you see early lockout as an issue I need to fix? Well, yeah, I mean, if you, this is where the combines should come in. If you are in an XFA and you want to test out to see whether early lockouts are harming your performance, go into a combine not with the intention to pass it or to YOLO it in 2 days, but just to test the hypothesis. You know, what do you think I'm doing here? You know, it's a tool to safely, for very low cost, test something new. So Coppers, if you see that you are struggling with the early lockout and that maybe you'll be missing out on some setups, go into a combine. You can even go into a practice account. You don't even have to, like, you know, actually go into an evaluation, and then just spend, you know, about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, seeing whether trading past your lockout, whether it's beneficial. And if it isn't, that means locking out early is the right thing for you. I'm very much data driven, so I mean, I'm finding silver quite, you know, normalized, if I dare say that. I mean, the ATR is still massive, right? Let's not joke around. But the intra-candle movement is not as insane as it was. Like before, you would try a 164 tick stop loss, which is what this is, and it would just wag in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out for quite a while. Sorry, there was a motorbike outside of the B road where I live. Somebody's in a rush. Yeah, so I'm finding it a lot more muted than it was. So maybe, just maybe, it's back on the list. So I'm going to get rid of this crude oil here. I'm going to go back to micro copper. I do still have the crude oil on my other screen. So we'll keep watching it, but for now, it's still deciding what to do. So yeah, coppers, go into an account that doesn't matter and use it for data, right? Use it to collate and aggregate the new idea that you trade past the lockout in this other account. Spend a week or two doing that and then see whether it would be beneficial. And if yes, go back to the funded account and maybe extend the lockout period. Don't maybe extend it immediately to the entire day, but perhaps extend it, you know, for another couple of hours. Then if that is fruitful, then for another hour, and so on and so on. But, you know, any sign of performance slipping because of that, go back to the early lockout, you know. Like, it depends. Let me ask you a question. Do you have setups for later? Like, do your setups, typically your playbooks, do they appear later? If yes, then I see no reason why you shouldn't take them, obviously. But that's me. I'm not like a robot or anything, so I do have some days where I'm a bit muppety, but for the most part, even if I get a couple of losers on the day, because of the structured framework and the time of day stuff that I do, I'm very good at digging myself out of holes statistically and systematically. So not just, oh yeah, I'm in a hole, let me keep trading. My approach to a day that starts off with a bit of a loser is to tighten my day trading time zones, as I like to refer to them. I'm glad I exited that copper, look at it. And then just go, well, I'm not going to trade until the absolute statistical probability for that time of day comes in. So I tighten the rules more. So I don't know how good you are doing that, but for me, that's something that's worked to keep me on the right path, regardless of how the day starts. But at the same time, I don't do like a million trades a day either. You know, you see the more trade numbers now because of the scaling in, because the platform counts every scale in as a trade. But I'm still doing like 3 to 5 trades, maybe 10 if it's like a range bound day or something. But generally, I'm pretty on the lower frequency of trading side. The Righteous One, we have a new trading time. We do, and we have a new name as well. We're called Metal Markets now, because that's what we do here. We trade metals and sometimes energies, but not always. You know, energies, RBOB is okay like year-round, but natural gas is definitely a seasonal thing. And nat gas is in rollover right now, so I'm not really that keen on putting any positions on there. I can see that on the March contract, we did tag 3 evens, which was my area of interest. But because of the rollover, I would rather wait for it to roll and then see what the equivalent of that is. And maybe get some good trades towards the end of the month. It's a short month. It's February. So, yeah. Artist Scrum says, I like the idea of scaling up. Most people take partial profit at the spots that I like to add to my position. Add to the winners, cut your losers. Yeah, that's the thing that I was struggling with, because I was in the camp of oh, well, if it got to 1.5R, maybe let's take 1 off and then keep the rest till 2 and 3R if it has that kind of a setup. But again, you know, looking at how the prop is where the prop firms are heading to, really maximizing the upside whilst making sure that your downside is also very controlled in light of that. That seems to be the complete opposite of what we should be doing, right? So we should be adding on to positions that start doing what we want them to do, and we should cut the ones that are not working at a smaller size, not the other way around, you know. So that's the thing that I'm trying to make like a 180-degree turnaround on. The way I used to do it, I just used to do all of my positioning up to my default size. So let's say that that's 15. I would enter the core position with 5. Then it would usually wag around in my zone, like you see the silver do. Then I would add another one, sort of 5 in the middle or at my own maximum adverse excursion point. And then once it starts moving, I would add the final one. But everything would be happening in a pretty small zone. And I didn't like the fact that sometimes when I would add to the second 5 lots, if I was wrong, that would smack me on the face, right? And then I would lose 2/3 of the full stop out on what would be the full stop out on a full 15 lots. So that was, I mean, it worked because of my high risk reward, because I generally aim for 2R as a default and then 3, 4, 5 if I see a swing potential for a turnaround. But yeah, it just kind of came to me when I started seeing so much variance as I was trading the metals. I'm like, this needs to stop. Like I can't, I need to find a different way of doing this, because on such small accounts you can't really do much else, right? So you have to find ways to make it more efficient. Now obviously with silver micro not being a true micro, I can't scale in or out. It just has to be 1, and even on 1, according to my risk model, that's still a lot of risk. So once I get to the funded a level as a proof of concept of what I'm doing now, I will not be trading silver until I have like at least at the bare minimum $17,500 of buffer, because that's when it becomes safer, and that's when the other scaling in becomes also closer to 700 or 800 per trade, which is still a lot. I mean, you know, we're talking prop, so we are a little bit more aggressive there. On my own accounts, I rarely risk more than 0.3% per trade. So if that helps anyone, you know, it's a different thing. I sometimes do swing positions there as well. Even though these days I do prefer to express my swing positions via options, I feel like I can manage my risk more effectively. Especially like energy markets, I quite like my spreads there. Straddles are particularly tasty. But you know, it depends. Sometimes I will run just a short call in crude oil when we get to like 70 level. Because you know, statistically, that's where it usually turns around. And as long as it does hold the 70 level over 45-day period, I'm good. So it's a different, you know, I guess it's a different style of trading. Right, so LME pushed copper into a move above Asia. So now this is changing my market generated information outlook, where I was looking for that fade. If we manage to stick above the Asia high, I will not be looking for shorts anymore. In fact, as we get into the COMEX and close to the London close, I will be looking for any pullbacks to be opportunities for long side of things. So this is where staying objective and not freaking out in a complete cognitive dissonance when something doesn't work for you, and just going, oh my god, that did something I wasn't expecting. I expect everything, right? I have hypotheses for both shorts and longs, typically 2 shorts, 2 longs at different areas. So even if I get smacked on the face in one level, if it kind of starts to go to the next level, either above or below, I have hypotheses for both sides of the story. So I've always got some kind of a contingency plan. As long as it's at the level. If it's in between the levels, I will stay out. But if it's at the level, then I'm like, okay, this is what's next. I write out my hypothesis usually as well. In fact, in some of my older streams where I could still be bothered, I used to write them on the screen as well for people to see, and I would, you know, explain them. And I still do that sometimes. I just feel like that's more for the market stalkers community who are very familiar with my playbooks. I don't feel much value doing that here, because I would then have to spend the entire 90 minutes explaining each of the setups. D, what's a failed auction? D, what's an auction fade? D, what do you say when you mean responsive neutral fade? But when I say that to my market stalkers, they know what we mean. So it's like, I just go, this is hypo 1, 2, 3, 4, the end. Let's now have a look at what the price is doing. But over here, obviously we have a different crowd, and you might not be familiar with playbooks based on the profile developments. And I just don't want to spend every single stream explaining from scratch to, you know, new people all the time. Hey, what's a failed auction? I'm actually thinking of creating a YouTube video specific for the failed auction, but also when the failed auctions fail, because that's something that happens in equities a lot. They get outside into a seemingly successful auction, then they fail it. They go to like 50% of initial balance, then they reverse, like bouncing off VWAP or something. And that's a setup as well, but it is technically a failed auction. So I just thought that might be a funny thing to explore at some point. All right, then silver has gone back to its sleepy stage. What is going on, silver? Everybody else is livening up, and you're like snoozing away, snoring. Still very range bound. Let's have a peek into GC. Yeah, okay, so gold is bounced off VWAP. Okay, that's great. Let's have a look at 30 minutes here on copper as well. Yeah, I don't know whether I want to stay in this. I'm not liking this view at bounce, and the fact that copper is sitting above Asia high, above LME. What's the correlation? Hold on, let me check. Yeah, correlation between silver and gold still not great. So let's see what happens between this precarious 75 and 76 level. But one good thing is that I'm not feeling, you know, I'm not feeling like it's crazy. I'm feeling like silver has actually found some sort of like stability. Dare I say it? Silver stable, what? Let's explore some other time frames. So let's go to 1 hour. Still very range bound, right? 4 hours. Still in an area of thick volume here. Do they do anything? No, so they don't have anything apart from 4 hours. Okay, fair enough. Then daily chart. I mean, yeah, that's all still. I'm gonna give it more time. One thing that I'm going to do here is put in the silver fix price as a horizontal line. And I'm going to make it white, and I'm going to make it dotted. This is not something you've ever seen me do on my other stream, because we were never together for the silver fix. Silver fix is used before you even ask. It's used as a benchmark, kind of like a settlement price on COMEX, but it's happening throughout the day. It's kind of used as a price where the institutions can use that benchmark to do something with it, right? So to either quote it for their purposes to their clients, or to just have a price that they will base their risk systems on. And that's called the silver fix. Copper has the same thing, but copper actually does that via VWAP at, don't quote me on this, I think it's 12:35. It's an odd time of day. So maybe in 10 minutes we can use the copper VWAP as a copper fix price. And that's something that the company called LBMA, they're an organization in charge of the fixing of the prices, and they obviously work closely with the exchange to provide that service. Just some interesting tidbits that happen in and around the summer day. But I've had some people who are like, or how do I trade the silver fix? You don't necessarily trade the silver fix, you trade whatever is happening at the time. And then maybe you can use the silver fix as an additional pointer. So for example, if we stay above silver fix, we can say that this is maybe a reaccumulation and we're going to see further upside. I'm always a devil's advocate. It's like, how can this go wrong and why? Whoops, didn't mean to move that. So let's lock that so it doesn't happen again. Somebody's saying, damn, this is live. Am I up earlier? No, but we are live later. Does that make sense? Yeah, so maybe you can use the silver fix that if we stay above the silver fix as we head into COMEX, that could be like your pointer. It's like, all right, well, we've gone over the silver fix. Are we also going to go above the gamma wall and Asia high? And then that provides orientation. If it goes below it, then that would be good for me because that's what I'm in on. But if the same thing is true on the other side, so maybe we are now in a mean reversion towards the value from yesterday. And then the silver fix just simply becomes an orientation. So this is the value high in the volume profile. TPO is actually higher where I have my limit buy set. But yeah, so you don't trade the fixing price, you just use it as orientation, if that makes sense. Good morning, where are you getting your gamma levels from? So I'm getting them from my own ping to an API, but I can say that Mentor Q is pretty spot on with their levels. They do use end of day levels, so that can change somewhat. However, in my products, a lot of these levels just stay there for days. They might change their open interest a little bit here and there, but they're not that liquid, right? They're not like the super dynamic products that suddenly change intraday. That only happens in cases of like single direction days. So you can use Mentor Q for that. Again, you can check my Market Talkers channel for that. I'm not going to be providing links for that on Topstep TV. But yeah, Mentor Q are an excellent company that just kind of collates everything. They have indicators for every platform out there as well, so whatever you're using, that will be it. Oh, Cavalier, what do you want? Been out. New highs on crude. I know, I'm just watching. Crude is on the watch list. Just gonna let the Cavalier out because he's deaf and he can't hear me. That's my dog. For anyone new here, I do have 8 dogs, so I'm basically just a dog doorman. That is my primary job. Let me perch myself on the chair. Right. D, what's a candlestick? I don't know, man. Isn't that something you use when the electricity goes out? What's a candlestick? I don't know. I'm new here. I have no idea. Yeah. So that's a funny thing. Back in the day, you used to have these like seminars where people would be charging you like, I don't know, like extortion amounts, like $15,000 for a 3-day course, and that people would turn up and they would start with, this is a candlestick, this is that thing, and I'm like, really? And a couple of my friends got roped to go into those, and they weren't happy because, you know, you expect to hear something professional and of value to advanced traders, not to start the seminar with, this is a candlestick, this is a high, this is a low, this is the open, that's the close. It's like, okay, can we move on now? So yeah. This is the way it should be. Plus add DAX MP. Listen, I know that they've had issues integrating the euros per tick into a USD dashboard. I mean, if I was doing that, I would just get like a Forex feed for a conversion, but that's me. For some reason, it was very difficult, and they, they had other things to fix. Let's face it. Right, copper is getting a bit of a party to the downside. That's all right. I'm gonna stick with silver now, because silver is large enough. This was unclear at best at the time. And I'm not getting anything from gold. Gold is just like inside the London initial balance. It's just sitting there. I still think that they want to do the play where they go into a mean reversion down. What's the time? Okay, we've got half an hour. And yeah, so for now I'm just going to stick with silver here and wait for that correlation. I might even hold this a little longer than past the end of the stream, just to kind of test how much volatility there is, especially when COMEX opens, because that is what I want to live through. But we'll see. If it's still kind of in the same area, then I don't really want to keep it. But this is the prime time now for both metals and for energies to turn around. One thing that I'm not liking on crude oil is that it overshot the ADR. So now when we are looking at the energies, so I'm just gonna move to CL and RBOB. I don't trade crude oil anymore intraday, but I still trade RBOB. So here are the same reference points for these two correlated products. And one thing that I would like to see if I am going to short them pre-market, which is what I tend to do when they run away to the upside, is that we first of all settle down. So we cannot be making this one-time framing higher, which is what crude has been doing. So shorting this while all of that's happening, it can only happen if there is time involved, and if it kind of settles, stops making higher highs, and then we see some sort of a consolidation, distribution, however you want to call it. And then they start to come down to reclaim this ADR high. Otherwise, we are in danger of the ADR high acting as a bounce point on a single direction day. Today should be the inventories day, but I don't know whether they're going to be releasing that, because I'm not seeing it on... I'm not seeing that today. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, so tomorrow at... God, we're in such a weird time. So for however many years, since 2012, I've been living for like, okay, Wednesdays is crude oil inventories at 3:30. Same thing with NFP Fridays, always. And now it's like almost like sweepstakes. When are they going to release the inventories? When is NFP going to happen this month? So it is a bit weird. Tomorrow they have scheduled the inventories for 5 p.m. instead of 3:30. And suddenly natural gas storage is still on Thursdays, which is fine, but it's now at 3:30 rather than 4 p.m. So that's kind of messing with my head here. And I do have strategies for Thursdays that involve post inventories on Wednesday's movement. So now I probably have to move that to Fridays, because Thursday is going to be a nothing burger, as Paul likes to say. Right, so we have a little bit of shorts. Let's have a look at tape on crude oil. This is the first day of crude oil rolling into the April contract, so it's going to be a bit weird. Silver's still teasing my entry, so let's put the dome on the silver. I mean, this is pretty... I know that it says plus 55, but it's pretty much break even because silver is so volatile. Right, so a little bit of movement to the downside in crude. And now I start looking at lower time frames. Was this a sweep? Probably. Let's attach a VWAP to this. Why am I doing that? Because it's the highest volume bar. and do the same thing on crude oil. I was hoping this would be like a little higher so that, actually, do I have the right candle here? I do not. Okay, yeah, this is higher. This one's right. This one, I clicked in the wrong area. All right, so we've had a little bit of sellers stepping in as we try to go into yet another higher high, but yeah, time needs to pass a little bit without them going into another higher high, and then we may have a short setup. So no FOMOing, no like, oh my god, sell off, let me get in. None of that, right? So you want to go, okay, I have a hypothesis. I have a short pre-market hypothesis. How is that looking on the tape? And keep asking yourself questions. What is happening right now? Why am I seeing this? You know, find orientation points that you can rely on to actually anchor your thought process rather than letting your thoughts just go crazy and put a whole bunch of random stuff in your head. But you know, when I'm interested in an entry, I will drop down to a lower time frame. However, all of my future decisions on that trade will be based off a 30-minute TPO profile and 30-minute closes, because usually they push in one direction or the other at the 30-minute mark. Still not seeing enough shorts stepping into crude oil here for me to get involved. I'm just seeing absorption. Just quickly, these are very evenly distributed bubbles or bulls. So yeah, they're big, so that means transactions are going through. A lot of people are trading. Tape is looking fine. And the Cavalier is back, and I can't tell him to go away because he is deaf. So let me let him back in. So sorry. Usually he just sleeps there. I don't know what's going on. He's more awake. Alright, he's back. The splutter puppy, as we like to call him, because he's got a massive heart problem and he's still alive. Obviously on meds. Deaf, 13 years old, and still here, so all good. Right, so who's gonna win? Whenever I look at tape, again, I ask myself some questions. What happens next? Right? So you see something happening, it's like we had some absorption. What is Delta doing? It's rising back up, which means I stay out. And it's a bit patchy, but it's rising, right? Don't want to see that if I'm going to short something. And let's move this to the silver micro. Silver micro. Teasing the silver fix. The bullish engulfing attempt that they tried in the 30-minute previous bar close failed. So now we just sat right at the silver fix, right? So we need to wait until that resolves. And considering the context, we have a big consolidation. Like, what does this look like to you? To me, it looks like a rally base, because we're basing. And then I want to see a drop. Can it be a rally base rally? Yeah, but that tends to happen more like closer to the start. Anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. But again, this is more a test. Like I would not be looking at silver on the account that doesn't have like 17K in it. I still think that it's much more palatable than it was like even like just a few days ago. And Asia is still bonkers. Look at it. I wasn't awake for Asia last night, so I don't know what this looked like as the price action was happening. But this is why I want to see how it's happening now. And it's fine. Like at the moment, it's absolutely fine. Right, are we going to get some sellers? Crude oil. Alright, Delta's kind of dipping down a little bit. I am looking to see whether we can find some cause to enter a short. But whenever I see shorts right now in crude oil, they are kind of on the smaller side. And I would like to see like a consecutive movement to the downside in the order flow before I commit to anything. The time of day is good for shorts in crude oil though. You know what? It is a combine, so let's be a little bit more active here. So I do have something that I use for RBOB. Our Robert. Just joking. RBOB is gasoline futures. If you don't know what it is heavily connected to crude oil because it is a derivative product. And there's a thing called the crack spread. Not joking. It's actually called that. Between crude oil, RBOB, and heating oil in a very particular ratio. And if you're wondering why is gasoline RBOB, it is because it stands for reformulated blend stock for oxygenate blending. It's a very catchy name. I think you will agree. For those who don't get sarcasm, that's sarcasm. I don't know why they called it such a big, complicated name, but we all call it RBOB, which is much cuter and easier to say. D, what are you trading? Reformulated blend stock for oxygenate blending. Anne-Marie is here. Hello, good morning. When does the stream end? The stream will end at 1 p.m. GMT, which is 7 a.m. Central. And then you have Coach Jay, Hogue, and the gang for the opening call pretty much right after. So you don't have to wait too much. We can hang together, analyze the markets. Now, if this does start to reclaim, first and foremost, the anchored VWAP from this little smash of volume, I would like to see it reclaim ADR high. And then to the downside on crude oil, have a look at the levels. Downside on crude oil, I would be looking for a test of VWAP at 63, roughly. That's also where we have some weaker puts sitting, so it is a level of interest from multiple points. If it continues to sell off, which I wouldn't be too surprised, but we do have the value high from yesterday's trading from NYMEX sitting at 62.45 roughly, and that would be kind of my stopping point for the move down. Am I going to be in on all of that? Probably not. But as long as I can skim, a little bit to the downside, I will be happy. We first need to make sure that we don't bounce from this big high volume spike that we had previously when we actually made a new higher high. So that's a danger zone. Again, if you're new here, I like to do these stinging tidbits every so often. Of course, that was a Top Gun soundtrack song because I'm an 80s child. Yeah, silver's pretty slow, wouldn't you say? Like, this is very manageable for me. I feel very calm. Crude oil tagging anchored VWAP. What do they do? What will they do? Look at tape. Delta's still falling. That's good. At this point, I don't really want to see Delta spiking as we're touching the former high volume area. I'm watching it like a hawk. Yeah, the two consecutive bars of, or balls, two consecutive balls of one book map. Not quite enough, I'm afraid. We need to see some real commitment to the downside. We have some dangerous levels here. We've gone into one time framing higher on a 30-minute time frame on crude oil and RBOB. So that's definitely troublesome. But on the other side, silver is still okay. It's just under my entry. I would still argue that this is just a break-even trade, even though it's like, oh, it's 24 ticks. Yeah, but in light of the ATR and the stop size that I'm using here, which is 164 ticks, I think this is still scratch. So we need to see like more commitment to the downside. If in the next sort of 14 minutes or so it goes down to tag VWAP, I would probably take early profits there on silver and then just wait until a bit later. All right, so you can see how crude oil is trying to bounce from that former area of high volume. So this is what we don't want. We want to see a breakdown of that, and then basically whoever was spiking it, spiking the price action previously, to see them use all of that power to the downside, effectively taking profits is what we're looking at. We're looking at profit-taking move into NYMEX potentially, but for that we need to break the anchored VWAP from the high volume bar. I'm using a 5-minute chart. I'm not really in favor of super low time frames. I will look at a 2-minute chart sometimes, but on some of my products I find that slightly larger time frames tend to be more accurate, and that's why I don't nitpick. So my favorite time frames are 30 minutes as a benchmark, and then bouncing between 2 and 5. If I want to look at the lower development, I just look at bookmap. I don't need to go to, you know, extremes like 15-second chart. I can honestly say that I've never ever looked at a 15-second chart. Not that it's like, oh yeah, it's wrong. I just find that people who do that, they are way too zoomed in, or they've never traded in the live markets. You just can't be that accurate. Live markets have a lag. There's an order of execution by size, and if you're trading with, you know, anything but like one contract, you're immediately slightly in the back of the queue unless you pay for a service that would allow you to have preferential fills, and that costs an arm and a leg, right? So that's reserved for institutions. And us mere mortals, we do have to just sit here and take it as it comes. So whatever fills they give us, we just say thank you. But that does mean that ultra accuracy that you might obtain on the sim is not a very realistic way of looking at things. All right, so what I've done here, I've just attached my hacked fib tool, which is not for fibs at all. I'm just literally measuring the risk reward on this trade in a visual manner so that I don't have to measure it any other way or reach for the calculator. So 1R multiples is basically this point just above VWAP. So my take profit, as you can see, is at 2R multiples. And why is this 0, 1, 2, 3? Well, because your stop is 1R, right? And then if you're doing it this way, I can't change the labels, so I'm just kind of hacking a fib tool to show me the risk reward. It's something people have seen on my streams when I hack a fib tool on another platform and attach a label to it. Alright, so crude oil is not really playing ball. I don't think we're going to get the short in energies today, so we might leave that alone. And we have another 10 minutes to hang here, and then I will bounce to make room for the daytime show that is coming some minutes later. Anne-Marie says, if I were awake at midnight, I could not be singing. More power to you. You're very spunky. Well, I mean, to be fair, this is like, this is not midnight for me. This is the morning. But you know, even when I'm awake at midnight, I am a former night owl. I did gigs, so singing at midnight, I was a session musician. That was like a normal thing for us. Like, yeah. What do you do? My dad had this saying, jazz is not for the morning. Because, you know, we're going to have the opening call right after the stream, and Hogue loves his quotes from his dad. I figured I would throw my dad's saying in there too. Jazz is not for the morning. D, what soundtrack is this? I want to add it to my trading music file if possible. That is courtesy of a service that does like royalty-free stuff, and the person who selected the music was actually Gabe, our very own Gabe Palmer. I just gave the genre. I said I would like some kind of melodic house music, if possible, and he came up with, I don't know, like 45, 50 tracks that were on that platform. Because obviously when you're doing a live stream, you're not allowed to use music where you have to pay royalties for, otherwise you will get a copyright strike. So we have to use services that allow royalty-free copyright. I mean, I can give you the name of the website, because it is a paid-for service, but they provide royalty-free music. What was the name? Let me just find that for you. Just give me a minute. I'm an old woman, so I take a while. It's called audionetwork.com. So that's where they got it from. The audio network. I on my stream use similar thing, but I use Epidemic Sound. You know, there are loads of like services like that. Yeah, it's just melodic house, you know, something to start the day. Oh yeah, so the discount code, sorry I got sidetracked, the discount code that we are running for our combines at the moment is Climb Higher. So Bruno kindly put it in the chat, and it's running until 20th of February, I believe. Is it 20th of February? Does Dee live in the UK? Dee does live in the UK. Dee lives in Surrey, which is English countryside, but Dee used to live in London for 25 years. And then we moved the primary residence to a countryside location. And we are very happy. So much more space, fresher air. Everything's quieter. People are smiley and funny. That's what struck me the most. Yeah. Thank you, Bruno. Bruno's just put the link up in the chat, so you can go and grab the promo code from there. Did I long gold? I didn't long anything. I just shorted silver. No longs for now. No. And to be honest, gold is still on my naughty list, because it's still very, very volatile. Like I know that they increased a little bit. So from 2, 4, and 6 for 50k, 100 and 150k, now you can trade 5, 10, 15 on gold. I would have preferred that they did that for copper, but again, I'm not a part of the risk team, so, you know, it's entirely up to them to track what the margins are doing from the exchange and all of that good stuff. All right, so crude oil, there's no setup. Right, so I usually like shorting against these sort of big moves. We are coming to the last 5 minutes of this stream, and today we are still going into a long. So what I'm planning on RBOB and crude oil, but expressing my ideas through RBOB, is to wait until we're closer to the euro close. So the London close, that is usually when they turn it around. I'm not touching RBOB on the short side at the moment, but I still remain short biased in energies for today. I shall be holding the silver to see how it behaves still and how insane it gets, how bonkers it gets, just to get a feel for it, to see whether I can put it back on the nice list instead of the naughty list. But if I notice that I'm uncomfortable in a trade as the price action is happening, then I will cut it again, and then I will just stay on RBOB and copper like I did for the majority of this combine. So this is what we're working with at the moment. You know, pretty good. The downside is very controlled the way I'm doing this. And this was before they introduced the restrictions. So really, with the full add-ons, you're looking at 1.5k, or I'm looking at 1.5k. But from the restrictions, we're looking more between 689 and 830. So yeah, it's all looking fine. I mean, I just need to get used to the third and fourth add-on, which I'm still uncomfortable with. So once I'm through this combine, that should be enough time for my own emotional regulation to kind of pipe down and to go, all right, well, it's working. I've got proof of concept, so therefore let's go, right? That's what we're doing here. Anyways, that'll be all from me. Thank you so much for joining me for the metal markets. We're going to be doing this Monday through Thursday. For now, no Fridays. I will consider doing Friday streams at some point as well, but for now, let's just see how it goes. Anyways, this was the metal markets. I'm Market Stalker D. Enjoy the daytime show and the opening call, and I will see you again tomorrow. Take care.